Scent of the day choice. My scent of the day was YSL Fresh. It's extremely hot by me. So I felt like rocking that one. And you know what? It's actually part of my whole entire live stream tonight. I have 23 other fragrances out in front of me that I find that doesn't really get talked about much anymore. And that's probably because there are so many new fragrances left and right coming out every other month. But I appreciate you dropping in and welcome back to Scented Paradise. And tonight is mainly going to be about my most controversial fragrance opinions, a couple of hot takes. But here's a question that's actually important. And I'm curious to see what you would say. Name one opinion that's fragrance related that can always cause like an argument, or like what's the most current underrated hidden gem in your current wardrobe, or what is the most overrated fragrance that you think could be overly hyped. It could be in 2026 or 2025. And then from there, I'll be transitioning into these 23 fragrances that I have in front of me. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about uh, Louis Vuitton Symphony. I recently got my nose on that. And I have some pros and I have some cons about that one. And even to this day, it's still sitting in the back of my mind. I cannot justify the price of that fragrance. I mean, $659 for a bottle of smelly water? Yeah, it smells great. And it does last for sure. But with current what? Bills, expenses, emergency fund, apartment, car payments, I can't picture anybody wanting to spend $659 on a damn fragrance. Unfortunately, my brother did, and he's truly in the Louis Vuitton cologne. So, without further ado, let's get right to it. Name some opinions that causes arguments within the fragrance community, whether it's your favorite fragrance or whether it's a agree to disagree, or whether you just feel like some colognes are just outright boring. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. And then I'm going to state my own opinions because I have a couple. And the most important thing to always remember, fragrance is subjective. And if we all had the same exact like to a fragrance, then this hobby would get pretty damn boring quickly. So I like to know what everybody is into lately and what everybody is enjoying. And starting with number one, for me, this is what I'm lately been getting my nose on, and something I would take over Spice Bomb. And I'm curious to see what you guys would agree, disagree, or have you ever smelled it, or would you buy it? Lalique Ombre Nior. This one I find to be criminally underrated. It smells niche quality without the niche price. Think of booziness, tobacco, slightly grown up. And man, this smells way better than Spice Bomb. And what is that? How do I feel about Gentleman Extreme? I think it's absolutely good. It's a good one. Lots of fragrances are overrated and glazed, but like I always said, love what you love is just okay. And yeah, I do agree. Lattafa Kamra Waha, or however you pronounce it, I hear a lot about the same exact opinions. It's okay. It's not a wow factor. It doesn't blow people's minds away. Unfortunately, I never decided to buy it because I was never really a true lover of Lattafa Camera. It was just way too sweet. And one of the main issues I had with that is I would just sneeze too much. It really aggravated my sinuses, so I gave the bottle away. But then when Lattafa Camera Dukan came around, I found the overall sweetness on my skin to be a little more toned down. I kept that one. And I don't really wear that in the summer. I tend to reach for that one in the wintertime. That one's decent. I can't say I don't like that one, but Lattafa Camera Dukan, in my opinion, I do appreciate it. So Lalique Ombre Nior. Would you guys agree better than Spice Bomb, bar as sillage, longevity, or scent trail? Because you got to think. I believe there's what? Cognac, tobacco, spices, kind of boozy. And I think there's a little green earthiness to it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there's like some kind of maybe a tea note in the background. Yes, Buckeyes. I'm a true Buckeye fan for life until I'm dead in the ground. Hello. So, what do you think? Where do you think Ombre Nior by Lalique belongs? S tier, A, B, C, D, F, or is it a hit or a miss? Or is it something you would be like, not my thing? Or would you shelf it for life? So that's kind of how I'm doing my live stream tonight. Hey, what's up, Sven? Killian, vodka on the rocks. Nice scent. Yes, I agree. It's got pretty bad longevity. However, if you love it, you love it. And that's all that matters. So that's another thing I do have a couple hot takes about. Performance and longevity. We will get into that a little later. So, how many of you guys that is currently in my chat have you ever smelled Lalique Ombre Nior? And is that something you would reach for over the original Spice Bomb? Honestly, me, I would take this one over Spice Bomb any day. And I do own the original Spice Bomb. It's not bad, but longevity is definitely weak in that department for me, so I tend to reach for this more. What I do use Spice Bomb for, the original, I like to layer that with Boss Bottled Absolute, and it's phenomenal. Those two together during the fall and winter as a layered combo, that's a 1-2 hit punch combo. So I would consider this one. This one belongs into the SP tier list, meaning it stays in my rotation during the fall. And I got another one here. And I've had this one here for a while. And this one isn't a designer. And I'm talking about an old school designer that my brother got me into a long time ago, and I think it's been reformulated. However, I thought I would talk about it anyways because I think it's slightly underrated now because there is so many other different, clean, refreshing scent profiles that perform better. But here we go. Tommy Cologne. What do you think? Smelled it, owned it, hate it, dislike it? What are your thoughts? The one thing I like about this one is I can appreciate the cranberry in here. Still clean, maybe a little juvenile. However, to even have it, you might get what, 3, 4 hours? That's okay with me. I don't mind reapplying this during high heat. And speaking of high heat, in Ohio, where I'm living, it's going to be an extreme heat wave next week. So I'm going to be wearing a lot of fragrance that is designed for high heat. Okay. Hmm. Well, I like this one because it brings a lot of good memories when I was a kid. And growing up as a kid, I had this. And I was big in the Tommy jeans. I had Tommy sneakers, all that stuff. And it stays in my collection. So this one stays on my SP tier list. And this is a hit. Hey, what's up, Jason? What's up, Kicks? Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated. And since you two dropped in, this should be fun. And my live stream is mainly about my controversial opinions with fragrance, and I do have a few hot takes. So, and I will get to those in a little bit, but I also do have a couple new pickups. One in particular is a new dupe. Unfortunately, I didn't buy it. I actually won it off Instagram. I'll talk a little bit about that down the road. And I do have a beautiful pickup, a beautiful rose fragrance. I will talk a little bit later on. And it's something that Joel put me onto, and it's by Carner, Barcelona. And then I ended up getting Rose and Dragon. And I gotta say, I love Rose, and that one is straight freaking fire. So, a next one I'm gonna pick here, and it might stir the pot a little bit, but hey, who gives a shit, right? This is where we get to agree to disagree and debate. So, next one here. Let's go with this one. Xerjoff, Triple X Royale, second batch, clean, kind of leathery, got a little bit of citrus in there. I love the second batch. First batch was okay, but when the second batch came around, this was my go-to. And I bought it. And maybe I fell for the hype a little bit, and that's okay because I find this one to be something I tend to wear a little more when it's actually colder out. It performs better for me. It doesn't do any justice for me during summer, but for some reason, fall and winter, this performs better for me. So how many of you guys in the chat got your nose on this one? What's my thoughts on Gusto Limoni? I have that sitting back there. You could probably see. I still got to do first impressions. However, I did check it the first day. I spread it on skin. I went nose blind, but people around me smelled it. I think it's one of Zaharoff's best releases in 2026. I like it, and I'm happy to have it in my wardrobe. I bought it. Uh, it performs pretty well for me. Unfortunately, I'm going nose blind to it, but like I told George on Facebook Messenger, I honestly think Gusto Limoni belongs in the Hall of Fame for fragrance in 2026. That's my personal opinion, but I like it. So I like the opening. I like the dry down. I'm still spending a little bit of time with it, but overall, just based off first impressions, I give it a good 9.1 out of 10. My rating may change after I, give it more full wears, but overall, I really think it's his best release in 2026. I think it's the best one that Claude cooked up, if that makes any sense. And what are your two most recent pickups? Hmm, the Harmonist. I never got into the Harmonist. So, what are two really good fragrances by the Harmonist? Sun in Paradise and all fragrance lovers. Dutch Joel Fragcom is a big. Thank you for dropping in. So, what do you think of Gusto Limoni, Jason? I'm always curious to hear what you have to say. And let's see here. Here's another one. Speaking of Zaharoff, old school, kind of like a high expensive soap kind of smell. Signature Pour Homme. I got this, I think, the beginning of this year, maybe last year. I don't know. But this one I absolutely love because it's like old money, kind of like an old gentleman. And I think this one belongs on my SP tier list, as meaning I wouldn't shelf this one. It's pretty good. But I've seen a ton of people sell. Really? A lot of people selling their bottles off already? I guess that can happen. I mean, to me, I like it. I enjoy it. But as I mentioned earlier on my live stream, fragrance is subjective. And if we all enjoyed the exact same fragrance, then this hobby would get boring quickly. That's why we will always have our likes and dislikes. And that can happen. I mean, I do have my least favorite Zaharoffs. I mean, let's go with Rose. Currently, my number one Rose fragrance would be like I was telling Dutch the other day. I would consider Black Rose Halfetti number one. I would consider Rose and Dragon number two. Signature Rosé would definitely be number three. And number four would probably be Louis Vuitton Elves. And number five for a rose fragrance, I would say, what is that one? I think it's somewhere in my collection. I forget the name of it, but those would be my top five. You personally wouldn't buy Zahara fragrances anymore? That's understandable. That happens. Um, what's another one? Oh, here we go. Signature Royale. This is another one. I bought this off of a buddy of mine that he was selling. This one ain't bad. And I remember he sold this a while back. I want to say I got this last year, maybe. This one's still pretty good. I've had it for a little while. So I enjoy this one too. But it's something I can't really wear in the summer, especially when it's like high heat. I think today is a high upper 80s and it feels like high 90s, and tomorrow's only going to get worse. Tomorrow's supposed to be like a highly of what? 90 and it might feel 105, and I hate that kind of weather. So I tend to gravitate towards fresh or something woodsy and all woody, things like that in that nature. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. George, he definitely does great business. I just, like, I think my all-time favorite Zaharoffs that I own, that I tend to wear a lot more, is like Signature Rosé, some of the stuff from the Zeg creators, and Leather Tabak. I love Seraphim Blue, Seraphim Red, and I have to be in the mood with some of the other Zeg creators too. Like, what is that other one with that pro wrestler, Iberi? That one took a minute to grow on me because I'm not a huge fan of vanilla. Like, vanilla's like one of my pet peeves in fragrance in general, unless it's blend a certain way. Yeah, almost. Osmos, almost. I think that's his name. Iberi grew on me. I do like that. Is there anybody who has an experience with a house of? I wouldn't know. What's your thoughts on Precious Treasure? Treasure? That one I do enjoy. You know, I think out of my entire Zaharoff collection, I find Precious Treasure to be the most different. That one I go nose blind to, but it doesn't mean I can't smell it. It just kind of comes back to me and whiffs around. I really like that one a lot. And that was the probably one of the most priciest ones I bought from the Zaharoff line. Precious Treasure, I like the opening, and what makes it really interesting for me is I really like that Bushman candle note. You know, it's kind of got that like waxy feel to it, and it has a distinct aroma. That one I can appreciate. And here's the funny thing, I know a lot of people like the Oracle. I was on the fence with that one for the longest time. And I ended up buying a sample of it. And I spent a little bit of time with the sample. At first, I didn't really like it, but it grew on me. However, I didn't feel the need to buy a full bottle, and I didn't buy a full bottle. It's good, but I don't know. It's just not for me. And maybe that's because maybe I have some other fragrances that kind of have, you know, something similar to that scent profile, and I just don't want to have so much redundancy. But I didn't buy the Oracle. I passed it up. Instead, I ended up buying, I think at that time, my sixth Xerjoff, and that happened to be Torino 22. Or no, that was 40 knots. I take that back. So I don't know. But far as Gusto Limoni, you know, I'm enjoying it so far. And I'm definitely going to rock that probably tomorrow because it's going to be high 90s. So we'll see how it really performs in high heat. And I do like it. So, all right, moving on to something else here. And since I've had it, I felt like I would have it in this fragrance discussion. And this is coming from Martin Margiela. And I've had it for a little while, and I do appreciate them classic Fougères. So, what do you guys think? Have you guys got your nose on it or ever checked it out, or did you sell it down the road? Martin Margiela at the Barbers. I feel like this one isn't truly loved or appreciated. Maybe because it's moderate performing, but you know what? Who cares, right? Because performance isn't everything, at least to me. But I like this one. It's kind of got that, kind of reminds me of growing up. I used to go to this barber shop when I was younger that my dad took me to called New Image. And I always got a, like, what? A military cut, a flat top. And every time I would walk into that barber shop, this is something I would smell. And this barber used to have this, like, Pinard talcum powder, and every time I got my hair cut and neck shaved, he'd slap some powder on my neck. So that's what comes to my mind. Barbershop, at the barbers. So, unfortunately, I heard this got discontinued, and I actually spent an arm and a leg to hunt this down. I think I paid 190 some dollars. So, this was worth the pickup. No, you don't. And that's where I was getting at. And I saw Stay Fresh Productions talk about something about that on a short. And to be honest, performance isn't everything. You know, personally, I don't have a problem reapplying a fragrance compared to an average fragrance that is like 12 hours on skin. And if you work in the office, you really don't need a fragrance that's going to last 12 hours to be a room filler, because you never know. You get a new employee, they might have allergies out to yin yang, you know, you might ruin somebody's mood, you might give somebody a headache, or for the most part, you know, it might choke somebody out. Yeah, I own a lot of fragrance that has poor performance, but I still wear them and I still appreciate them because I enjoy them. And every one of them, it's like personal. Can't be beat mode because of the blend. Yes, if you make it louder, it would. Yes, yes, I agree. Absolutely, I agree with Dutch 100%. That's very true. You know, that's kind of like, let's say, YSL L'Homme Les Parfums. That was a short I did, what, just yet, I think a couple days ago, maybe yesterday. I think yet, no, maybe the day before yesterday. This one right here. And I like the L'Homme line here more than the Y line. This is classy, easy to wear, year-round wear to me. Eh, but I get about 5 hours. Does it mean I hate it? Absolutely not. I like this one. And coming from YSL, far as like the main lines, not their privé stuff that I appreciate more, I do like this one. Now, I don't know every single YSL flanker in this line. I like this one the best. It fits my needs. I like the experience. I like this one. It's probably one of my only, if not only, favorite Lonely Parfum flanker that I own. It's the only one I really like. I usually use my pore projecting fragrance in the heat. Yes, that's what I like to wear. Is I tend to go for my fragrances that don't perform well in high heat. And for example, another one from Boss Bottled. Uh, how's Rasasi Cobra? I don't know. I don't own it. I never bought it. I hear it's pretty good, but I own the real Louis Vuitton Imagination. There's no real point for me to even own a dupe. That's just my personal opinion. I hear some are good. I never got my nose on Rasasi Cobra, but it's not on my radar. And I'm not going to be buying any more Rasasi Hawass flankers. I'm pretty much done with that. But speaking of something underrated, coming from the Boss Bottle line, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this one much. And here's one. White bottle, Boss Bottle Unlimited. You know, think clean, minty, great for summer, high heat. I feel like this one completely disappeared from a lot of fragrance or within the fragrance community too quickly. This one's pretty good. You know, it's got that designer smell to it, if you know what I mean, which is quite common among Boss Bottled flankers. Pretty good. I feel like getting this back in the rotation. And speaking of, you know, fresh squeezed lemonade and kind of sour, because this is how this one smells on my skin, Yves Saint Laurent YO Fresh. For some reason, it's kind of sour on skin. And maybe it's because of the way my skin reacts to this one, but I do appreciate this. And I probably talk a lot more about this one, way more than I should, but that's because I really like this fragrance. It's the only Y flanker I really appreciate. And this is another one I thought I would bring into this scent discussion because it's discontinued and I feel like it's still underrated and nobody really gave it a solid chance after these years that gone by. So this is the only one I truly appreciate. I thought about pulling the trigger on why what is it, that newest one, Y flanker, iced cologne. I did smell it, but it wasn't enough for me to wanting to pull the trigger on a full bottle, so I gave it a pass. You have been putting off on my inspired buys. Have had many misses and a few hits. I can agree with you. So far, I think the only two, well, let's say one, two, three. So far, the four dupes that I can appreciate this year that I have gotten my hands on, and some of the twists, you know, some would be like, let's throw it out there. Ahmed Al Maghribi Spectrum Chill, kind of like a clean tropical twist off Pacific Chill by Louis Vuitton. Then you got, what's the other one? Azure Royal by Ahmed Al Maghribi. I won that not too long ago. I've been spending a couple days with that, and I will get into that later. Hawass Highness. So far, that's probably my favorite dupe of this year. Hawass Highness. Hands down, probably the favorite out of the current ones that I own. Davidoff Cool Water. That's a classic. I still like the original. But I own Cool Elixir, and I like that one a little more. But I do agree. That is a good one. And it's been a minute since I've had cool water. And speaking of, let's say, let's go with another niche. Let's go with this one, because I know a lot of people don't really appreciate this. And this is coming from Xerjoff. And I'm talking about Amabale. This is another one I bought a while ago, and I can see why a lot of people probably passed this one up. I think it's because it's maybe too powdery, too fruity, and I think you get this, like, apple, maybe something else in there, kinda like this really sweetened green apple, then it gets powdery, and I think there might be florals in this, but this is like a straight up fruit bomb, loud in your face, really, really extremely loud. This is another one that's extremely underrated, criminally underrated. No, I haven't. But this, I think I paid close to 80 bucks for this at the time. I don't know why, but I kind of have like a love hate relationship with this one. Sometimes I appreciate this, other times, ever since I've gotten Torino 22, 23, and 40 knots, it's like, man, I hate this one. I just have those kind of moods, where one day I feel like wearing this, the next it's like, why do I even keep this in my collection? I should just pitch it in the trash, but I won't do that. And let's talk about another one, old school stuff. I don't see nobody talking about this one either anymore. And it's Happy Chapard Lemon Dolce. This one straight up reminds me of like a lemon upside down cake with some beautiful florals. And yeah, this one does lean a little more feminine, but you know what? In my honest opinion, if you can spray it, you can definitely wear it because fragrance is genderless nowadays, at least to me. Something about this one. I've had this one for a very long time, and I sometimes reach for this too. And Happy Chapard has some pretty decent rose fragrances out there, and they have some other ones. But this is another one that doesn't really get talked about anymore. And if you really like lemon, and it might have a little more synthetic aroma chemicals to this composition. However, this one's really beautiful. It makes me think of uh, one of my other aunt's famous lemon bars she used to make during the holidays. This is what comes to my mind. So this is another one I sometimes will gravitate towards and wear when I'm in the mood. And it's still a beautiful fragrance. So have any of you guys gotten your nose on Happy Chapard? Lemon Dolce. Have you ever tried it? Would you agree? Would you buy it? Or would you pass it up because it might be a little too feminine for you? I'm curious. I like to know where you guys stand. Here's what the juice bottles and those neon vertical lights are banging. Neon vertical lights? Yeah. I got that display case off of eBay. I forget the brand, and I know a couple people who own a different one, different color, and that's how I picked up on it. It was a pain in the butt to assemble. I spent 12 hours putting it together. I had to reinforce all the shelving so it can hold the right amount of weight. So I paid $163 and then it came with anti-tipping wear and I mounted it to my wall. That way it stays connected to the beams in the wall. So it's not bad. It's pretty good. And off to the side that you don't see, I still have my bookshelf case that's got other fragrances over there as well. So, not to get off topic, let's move to another designer for this conversation. Let's go with this one, a forgotten gem coming from Polo. And I've had it for a while. I think I paid maybe 42 bucks for it. It's a moderate performing fragrance, but I can appreciate this. It's kind of fresh, but it has coffee. And I'm talking about Polo Red Rush. Forgotten gem, slightly fresh, a little bit of coffee in the dry down. Have you ever smelled it? Would you buy it? Or would you just say pass? Yo, yo, yo. What up, JJ? 1888 from, oh, nice. Right on. You're flexing up in the chat. That's a good solid choice. My scent of the day was YO Fresh. It was pretty hot today. So YO Fresh definitely fit the mood. And what are you guys' verdict on Polo Red Rush? What do you guys think? Would you buy it to this day, or would you just pass it up and be like, not really my thing? Or would you take it a chance and give it a shot? Far as moderate performing goes, I get 6 hours. It's another one I like to reach for once in a while. Yeah, I know. Today was kind of high. I think high 80s by me. And I didn't really stay out too long. I did a little bit of yard work, but yeah, this coming week, starting tomorrow, high 90s plus the heat index, it's going to feel like the triple digits. So this whole week, I'm probably going to be rocking freshies and some others. Speaking of another one, this is from Fragrance World and probably one of the very first dupes I bought, and I didn't even know it was a dupe until I got my nose on it, on the real one for that matter. And I gotta say, this one here, for a dupe, I find this one to be completely criminally underrated. And not many people talk about this one either anymore. And it's sad. And I'm talking about this guy, Concentric Molecules number 6. And I think it's supposed to be Molecules over 05, number 5. And I find this one to perform above the price point, and it deserves more recognition. It's fresh, kind of woodsy. This is something would be great for this coming week. In fact, I think I'm going to rock this tomorrow. This is probably going to be my scent of the day. And I would like to get the real one. So you're in Michigan. So glad. Ha, man. Oh, yeah, it would be horrible. So I think I'm going to rock this one tomorrow. Because this is pretty good. And you know the funny thing is, I forgot I had this. It's been a minute. Because I've accumulated so many over the years since I've been doing my content. I forgot I had this. And I smelled it today. I'm like, man, does that one smell good. By Fragrance World. Sometimes with Fragrance World, they're like hit and miss. And I don't buy every single one from Fragrance World either. But this one I bought, and I think I paid 20 bucks for it. And I got to say, this one's quite interesting. And I think they did a pretty good job trying to clone it. Went cruised. Okay. Yeah, I want to check out Cruz del Sur 1 and 2. If I buy another Xerjoff, I was thinking La Capital, maybe Zafiro, Renaissance, or I might just pull the trigger and get Louis 15. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind because I was probably either gonna add another Louis Vuitton in a couple days, like City of Stars. I really love that one. Or I was gonna get another Mind Games. That's if I can find it. I've been on the hunt for Prodigy by Mind Games because I really, really like that DNA. But Olfactory LLC is out of stock, so I can't get that, and I've been trying to find it. So I haven't made up my mind on what my next only purchase is going to be for July because I have a couple others on the way, and I have another free giveaway eventually coming my way sometime next week or this coming week. And I think I have about 14, 18 new pickups that I haven't even got time to really do reviews on yet. So, top shelf. Yeah, I hear Renaissance is fire. So, yeah, I'm either leaning towards Louis Vuitton City of Stars. My brother owns it, and I used to never like it, and it did grow on me down the road. I wouldn't mind owning that one. His newest one, he recently got a month ago. He bought Symphony by Louis Vuitton. He paid $659 for it. But my brother's not like me. He's not into content. That's not his thing. But he does love cologne. But he's different. He doesn't go for dupes. He is not into dupes. He hates dupes. He doesn't like them. He thinks they're all just a waste of money. And maybe it's because to him, to his nose, is because he feels all these dupes are just never close. They don't really impress him. So he's strictly for originals. He's not really into Creed. So his favorite perfumers is the perfumer for Louis Vuitton, Mason Francis Kurkdjian. He does like Suspiro and Xerjoff. And I think the only ones he really likes by Zaharoff is like the samples. I gave my samples to him. He likes Seraphim Blue, Seraphim Red, and I think that's it. Those are the only Zaharoffs he does like, besides Black Rose Halfetti and Signature Rose. Other than that, he doesn't go crazy. He sold all of his Manceras. He's not in the Mancera anymore. He outgrew that. So he has his own fragrance stuff he likes. He's really strictly for like MFK, Louis Vuitton, Mind Games, Xerjoff, Suspiro, and I think there was another one. I think he came across another niche house that he's also into. That's what uh, he recently got into Vertus, so he's a fan of Vertus fragrance too. So, yeah, I've been, I haven't made up my mind. If I do buy one more fragrance, it's only going to be one for July because I have about 18 new pickups that I will have to talk about for the entire month. And speaking of that, I got a bunch of other videos. I'll be busy making content the entire week and the entire month of July. So I got a bunch of stuff. I just been backlogged because one, I have been dealing with a painful injury and I don't even know how it happened. I think it's probably because of I went on to a little, let's say a retreat. I was out of town. I was supposed to be gone until Saturday, but I came back Friday morning, and I went hiking And it's probably because my dumbass was wearing the wrong boots and I thought I packed my hiking shoes and I didn't. And I ended up with a bone bruise and I got a muscle strain. So I can't even wear my regular shoes whatsoever. And I just ended up buying, what is it? I ended up buying a pair of those React Rejuvenate slide sandals, and right now they're comfortable. So I really got to take it easy. I can't really be on my foot, but my right foot, the swelling went down. However, it's still extremely sore. I never even knew what a bone bruise is, and let me tell you, pain scale, and I have a high tolerance for pain. Man, pain is no joke. I'm not much into hiking, but I was just, I wasn't around. I went out to Virginia. I rode my Harley out there, and I was with my buddies, and I had fun down there. I'll tell you that much. And I went, I decided to go hiking. I ended up wearing the wrong shoes. I don't know. It just happened. Maybe it's because, I'm close to what, 44? Maybe it's age. Who knows? But, anyways, not to get off topic. Get some of you. Yeah, it is. I never been to Virginia. Wanted to go. And I rode out there. I'd like to go back sometime. Eventually, I want to ride out to Kentucky. Maybe eventually, what I plan on doing is riding all the way out to California and staying out there for a while because I got some friends I need to visit out there. And I'm going sometime next year. I think I'm going to leave around sometime next year in the fall. I'm riding out to California and I'm going to at least stay out there for a couple of weeks and get the heck away from Ohio for a while. Yeah, I needed a little, let's say decompress, get out, go enjoy some time. And I'm a Harley kind of person. I'm a Harley Davidson motorcycle enthusiast. That's all I like. And to be honest, I would prefer a Harley over a car or a truck any day in the world because I ride year round. Rain, snow, sleet, I ride. So, but I'm careful at riding. I ride through the rain, snow, whatever. Don't care. I still ride. Oh, do I like PDM Cologne? Absolutely. Favorite one. I never really explored any other PDMs. I would like to, but I like PDM Cologne. Absolute favorite. I love that solar note. Oh, that's such a beautiful fragrance. And unfortunately, you're going to have people who don't like cologne, and that's expected. It happens, and that's okay. So, not to get off topic, let's get right to it. Let's get to another one here. Let's talk about this funky looking teddy bear bottle here. And it almost looks like it's got the, I don't know, the colors of a pride rainbow. However, what is this one? Maraschino Toy 2 Pearl? Highly underrated. I've had this one for a very long time, and it's basically a full bottle. But the funny thing is, I like the scent. Kind of makes me think of, Halo Top lemon sorbet. That's what comes to my mind. Lemon sorbet with this one. Now, this is catered to women. However, on my skin, it actually smells different. And I can appreciate this one. It's not bad. It's okay, but the bottle, it's just crazy looking. Just crazy. But I've had this for a while, and I don't know. These bears are just, I don't know what's up with the teddy bears. That's just kind of eh, mediocre to me. And I saw they came out with new releases. What is it? Toy 2 Gummy. They're crazy looking psychedelic teddy bears. It made me think of Grateful Dead, those Jerry bears. I have a couple Grateful Dead t-shirts with the Jerry bears on it, and every time I see these uh like teddy bear bottles, it makes me think of Jerry bears. But either way, Maraschino, Toy 2 Pearl, highly underrated. A lot of people slept on this one, probably because they don't like the scent. My homie transferred fart spray into an old Hugo Boss bottle and gifted it to me. I was played on. Oh man. Boys will be boys, right? You're gonna have pranks. Me and my friends used to do that stuff, but we never did that. And I don't know. I'm not laughing at you, but I'm just laughing at that moment, thinking in my head, if somebody did that to me because I love cologne so much, I would be pissed. And my temper can go from 1 to 10 really quick. That, man, I'm not even going to explain myself, but that person, he would end up in the hospital over that. And that's all I'll say. He would probably have to get his jaw wired shut because I would, yeah, I would break somebody's jaw over that. Or maybe their eye socket for that matter. But I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff and not get off topic here. That can be for another, you know, live stream or something where we can randomly shoot the shit and bullshit. But I would be mad, and that's kind of foul. Even though if it's a, April 1st, April Fool's joke, that's still kind of rough. I would be pissed. And I think anybody would be pissed because who wants to spray a bottle and smell like shit? You know, I would be pissed. You know, you're probably getting all your hopes high. Ooh, Boss Bottle fragrance. I don't own one. Ooh, I got lucky. And next, you're spraying it and coughing and gagging, and there goes your whole mood. And then you're just pissed off. Damn. Oh, the hostility. Yeah, pretty much. That would annoy me, though. Has any of that kind of stuff ever happened to you guys where your friends pulled pranks like that on April Fools? I'm curious. I never done that kind of stuff to any of my friends. I never did, but they've done some pretty other foul stuff to me, but I won't go into details, but I can name a couple that, well, I guess it's safe to say. Ones that really annoyed me, one of my childhood friends that I grew up with, I think it was on April Fools. He, it was in middle school, actually, and it was during study hall. And some of them, you know how them middle school chairs and desks can be uncomfortable. I had like a little seat cover. I snuck into school and I would sit on it. So I'm a little more comfortable and not sitting on a hard ass chair. And my friend decided to ruin it because it was handmade by my aunt, who, rest in peace, is in heaven watching over me. She made me this little cool cushion because she was good at sewing. And I used to sneak it into school. I would sit on it. And my friend thought it would be cool to put like those, firecracker snap pop things in there. And I went to go sit on it. And that's the kind of pranks he would do. And I sat on it, and loud noises sounded like a firecracker. And of course, I got kicked out of study hall and sent right down to the office. No questions asked. I got suspended for a week straight. And then I got grounded, and I was pissed. That's the kind of stuff my friends did for pranks, you know? So what did I do to get him back? I got him good. I broke into his locker. I uh, stole his favorite magazine. And then I did something else too. I took his favorite cologne bottle he had. But I didn't do nothing like that. I took his favorite cologne bottle and ended up, it was like the splash cologne bottles where you didn't have a spray. I dumped it all down the toilet, flushed it, and I think it was, I want to say an old school bottle, Caswell Massey, and it was lime aftershave. That was his favorite go-to, lime aftershave. I had that one back in the day, and I dumped the whole bottle out, and I filled it up with, what was it? Hairspray that he kept in his locker. I filled it up, put it back, straightened everything out. I got him back. I got him back doing stuff like that, but to put fart spray in a fragrance bottle, I couldn't do that to somebody. I just couldn't do it. And yet you see people all over YouTube with those fart machines, fart straws under the armpit, doing things like that. That's funny and all, but with cologne and you empty it out and you give it to somebody, I just couldn't do it. It's just not worth it. But anyways, not to get off topic, let's get right back to this. I got a few others to talk about. And I'm gonna go, let's go with this designer. Coming from Hermes. Now, this was probably my last pickup, I would say earlier on this year, before Saks Fifth closed down. And this one is H24. I feel like H24 might be slightly overrated and probably underrated at the same time because not too many people reach for this one. And it's probably because it feels a little more grown up, a little more slightly mature ish. Now, I never smelled the original H24. Herb Vives is my favorite, but I still appreciate this one because this one really defines how the environment would smell outside after a hot and muggy storm came rolling through. And it has that squalene accord in here, kind of green, earthy. So, have you guys ever smelled H24 eau de parfum? Do you like it? Agree, disagree? Where do you stand with this one? Do you hate it? What do you not like about it? I like it. I do appreciate this. Hmm. Hey, man. So, H24. Any of you guys got your nose on that one? Do you like it? Disagree? Do you think it's overly hyped? Underrated? What do you think? I'm curious to know what you guys think, whether you would buy it, whether you would check it out, if you like it or not. I like the H. A little different. Yeah, a little different. I would say a little different for sure. Um, Eventually I want to get the original, the EDT, and check it out. I do like Herb Vives the best. I think Herb Vives out of that entire line is probably the most easiest one to wear, at least to me. This one, I just feel like, it might not do any justice for a lot of people because to them it might be a little off-putting. But what I like about H24, what with Hermes entirely, they do different stuff. They do their own thing, and that's why I like Hermes. And I'm fairly new to that designer brand, and one thing I like about them, they're not super expensive compared to Louis Vuitton or some of the private lines from Givenchy, Carolina Herrera, or, Versace, Prada, or Yves Saint Laurent, or even Boss Bottled, Hugo Boss. Some of their other stuff are a little more pricey, but, they got some pretty decent stuff. And I feel like this probably will stay on the SP tier list for being in the rotation. I plan getting this one back in the rotation as well. And with that minute, I will be right back. I got to use the restroom, so I'll be right back. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask me when I'm back, let me know. Oh, man. I drank way too much water. Holy cow. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I had to, man, I'm hydrated all the time and I drink a lot of water. So I had to take an emergency break, but I'm back for myself, but I'm stuck. Your options are JPG, Label, or YSL Liberty Intense. I never explored any of those female fragrances. I'm not familiar. I wouldn't be able to really help you with that one. I never checked them out. But one thing I can say, if your gut really feels, what is your gut feeling? Are you leaning more towards label or Libre Intense? Now, if you're leaning more on one of those two, maybe go for what you really want and maybe get a sample of the other and spend time with it. But other than that, I never checked them out. I don't know if some of my regular subscribers are familiar with them. Maybe they can help you out. But personally, I never checked them out. And maybe I'll put them on my list, get them down the road, and even review them for the ladies. You're welcome. That's what I would do. If you're really feeling that JPG label or that YSL, maybe get a small bottle, save some money, and get a sample of the other. And then when you spend more time with the other, then you could really sit there and say, you know what? Now I got two different signature scents. And then you could wear one for one season, one to the other, whether it's office friendly or a date night or a lounging fragrance, whatever you have planned. That's another thing. Like Sundays are usually my lounge days where I really have nothing planned. I don't want to do nothing and I want to relax. And today I felt like wearing one of my fragrances. And it's Hot by Me and YO Fresh. Luckily, I have a backup. This is like my fragrance I like to lounge in, relax at home, whether I'm outside doing yard work or going for a walk. But I can't really go for a walk while I have this injury going on. So I felt like relaxing out in the yard, doing a little bit of yard work, and I felt like rocking this today. So this is like my go to for lounging around the house. I need an affordable signature scent, something unique and a dupe of something. Hmm. Well, I would say Rasasi, Hawas Highness, and it's like a little of Tigar and Vibrato DNA. It's unique. That is pretty good. Say it, man, say it. Imagination overrated, just a better version. I don't really see that. I really do not see that. I'ma disagree with you, sir. I do not see that. Pacific Aura, a safe blind buy? I think so. I never bought it, but I would think so. Yes, overly priced, but I bought it. But do what you please. You know the saying, do thy will. But regardless, I will always stand firm how I truly feel about imagination and all them dupes out there to my nose don't really come close. I really don't see that. Hmm. I don't know. I really don't see it. Someone would actually have to try and convince me, but nah. Nah, I don't. I think the reason why I don't see it is probably because one, what really Here's the thing with imagination, all right? And I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't get all the notes. What really comes on my skin, I get the neroli, ginger, I get some of the citrus, and I really get the tea the most. And I get the ambroxan as well. But the other thing is, I own a backup bottle of this, and yeah, 300 some dollars. Whoop-dee. To me, it's not a problem. I don't have a problem spending the money. But I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, you're not going to buy it. Fangu. I'm not like that. You do what you do, but and I've tested so many times wearing this. I get 10 hours on skin. I love the quality, the experience, and my own personal opinion. And it's personal for me. And I really don't want to go into detail why I love this one so much because it's a little more personal and something I don't really want to talk about. However, yes, this is highly overrated. I will admit that. I did discuss that in my last week's live stream. It is highly overrated, overhyped than what it should be. But does it mean it's a bad fragrance? Absolutely no. Absolutely not. LV's got phenomenal shit. Yes. I own 7 of them. And eventually I will probably be owning an 8th one here in a couple of days. But imagination is an easy, dumb reach. I think it's overplayed. I think, it is overplayed. I would have to agree with my boy, Aroma de Carlos. It's been used for so many different comparisons, and it's overplayed. And that goes back to my last live stream. And this goes back to that same topic. How many times do you gotta dupe a fragrance, whether it's Imagination, Pacific Chill, or a Ventus? How many freaking dupes do you need? How many different variations? It's getting out of hand. I own a Ventus. I love it too. And I'm okay with the 4 hours because I would take the original over a dupe. That's just me. You know the saying, I prefer quality. I got nothing against some of these dupes. As you can see, I have some of them, but I don't have a lot of dupes in my collection anymore because I gave them away. I used to own, I think, 30 Lattafas, and I'm down to maybe 4. And I gave the rest away. I just don't care for them. Exactly. Now, I'm not telling you guys say, oh, don't buy dupes, clones. You do what you please with your budget. What fits for your month-to-month budget and the situation you're in, do what you please. But I'm just stating, I'm not really chasing after every dupe anymore. I used to. I don't anymore. I don't go for everything that drops. I'm not like that no more. And if I was to have my brother come down here, if he was home, I should get him on mic. I should let him sit on here because he would be the prime person for a good debate on imagination and all these other dopes because he would tear somebody a new asshole. Literally. But one of these days, I'm going to get my brother on a live stream. So he can, do his thing, have a shot at it, where he can talk for the first third, for like the first 30 minutes, and then I do the rest. I would like to see what he can do on a live stream one day. Can I please get your position on 3 pedestrian fragrances? Tommy Hilfiger? I was just talking about that. Classic. I would still rock it to this day. I would wear it for the rest of my life. It's good. Clinique Happy for Men. Beautiful fragrance. Davidoff Cool Water. That's a good one too. Using Travis. Fuck clones. That's hilarious. Those are my top 3, but I get clowned for them. Oh, you get clowned for them? Who cares what the other person thinks? Let them hate. They're no better. People are people, You're always going to have a bad seed out of everybody out there. And one day, you got enough money saved up, then you decide to buy something else that they can't afford. And you know what it is? Maybe they're just jelly. You ever think of that? Maybe they're just jelly because they're too busy sucking on a jelly sickle. Yeah, it's not a perfect world, unfortunately. Just got to make the best of it. A bad service. But yeah, Tommy Cologne, still an all-time classic. I plan on getting this back into this week's road. Probably I'm going to rock it this week, maybe on a Tuesday. I still appreciate it. I still like it. Even though it's kind of moderate, kind of weak. I think it's been reformulated over the years. I still like it. I still enjoy it. What I like about it is I like that cranberry note in this one. It's pretty good. Coming from Tommy Hilfiger, I do enjoy it. And what's that? You agree using Creed Virgin Island water. You like quality, fuck clones. And what was that? Every fragrance influencer pushed the arm off. Oh, that? No, what's funny? Speaking of that, Club Ennui Intense Man. How many Club Ennui Intense Mans do you really need? And what was the other one? Extreme now, I think. Extreme? How far are they going to go with that entire DNA? It's getting to the point where it's, fucking boring. Excuse my language. You need something to smell unique during the summer here in Europe. Any suggestions? That's another one. How many Hawass flankers do you really need? Never checked out Polo Red Extreme. The only one I really have that I do appreciate and not many people talk about is Polo Red Rush. And I hear mixed opinions about Polo Extreme, Polo Red Extreme. I think they brought it back, reformulated. I wasn't too impressed. I think I did smell it at Dillard's a while back, but it didn't move me. I do like Red Rush, probably because I like the coffee note. Nights Out with Woman. Nights Out. Boss Bottle Beyond. That would be a good one. That's perfect for nights out with a woman, dinner. Suspiro Basso during my trip during May. That's a great fragrance. In your opinion, what's the best way to sample some great high-end fragrances? Decants. Depending where you live, sir. Uh, what? Ken, you in the USA? Decants, fatboyfragrance.com. He has a website. He sells samples all the time. He sells decants too. You can find all over the place. Okay, well, you can Google, type in some names you're looking for, type in, let's say for an example, high-end fragrance. Let's say, let's just use Louis Vuitton La Mentite. Type in like a 2, 3, maybe a 5 or a 10 mil decant, see what pops up. Decant X is good. Fat Boy Fragrance, sometimes you can find different samples there. A lot of the times you can find decants all over the place. You just Google it. Yes. Yes. That's a good route to go, Ken. You know, a really good split scent, scent rush, scent angel. Those are good places. Decant X. Sometimes you might be able to find some decent, like new designers from Fat Boy Fragrance. He does have a website. Um, but yeah, I've bought stuff from Split Scent, Scent Rush, and Scent Angel more than once. Yeah, that's the best way to go. I sometimes buy discovery sets too, like for Suspiro, Lorenzo, or some other houses. I sometimes do that. Like I did that with what? Fugazi. And I still never bought a full bottle yet. And unfortunately, I let that $30 coupon voucher expire. I wasn't really impressed with Fugazi. That's why I passed them all up. Yeah, Max Aroma fragrance set has travel atomizers too. Yeah, sometimes I'll buy decants, if I want to save some money for the month, I'll buy a bunch of decants and, do that. If you are from Europe, buy from Fragrant World. It's a site in Portugal, shipping to country in Europe. Very nice. I get about 100 samples from them. Hey, well, there you go. There's your answer, Unforgiven. So that's a good way of doing it. I still have a bunch of samples. Not too long ago, I think from Scent Rush, I bought Creed Wild Vetiver. I bought a 2 mil. It's still full. I think it's got like maybe 10 some sprays left to it. And I like Creed Wild Vetiver. It's a beautiful scent, but I just haven't really got around to wanting a full bottle. It was nice when Sephora used to give out samples, but they stopped. Huh, that's typical. That can happen. Unfortunately, that happens from time to time. Well, let's talk about another fragrance here. Let's go with a Zaro. This was the first fragrance I won from a member live stream. And I think it's been reformulated. However, I remember a couple people talking about this. And let's go with it. And so far, this is still my only favorite one from the Wanted line. And I never really explored the entire Wanted line because I'm not crazy for it. And what do you guys think? Wanted by Night. Does it still live up to the hype or has it actually finally rest in peace? And when I say rest in peace, has it died out? Has it lost its love? Do you like it? Do you agree or disagree? Has it fallen down from being hyped? Or is it just truly underrated? I like it. Hey, Ohio State. Yeah, I take that to heart. But if you're a Michigan fan, yeah, we might go head to head here and there. But you want to know something funny, Ken? I hate the Cleveland Browns. They suck ass. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Go figure. But I like the Buckeyes, and I do appreciate college football more than NFL. I don't know. I feel like NFL just don't care for it. And yeah, I do my best. I wouldn't say I'm the smartest fragrance YouTuber content. I just like being honest in my own way. I knew that someone would go Browns. Eh, I don't know. I never liked the Browns, and ever since they picked up Watson, I lost respect for them because now they support sex offenders. So I got no love for them. You know how I really feel about pedophiles. You know where they belong. And you're in Michigan. Hey, I don't got nothing against Michigan Wolverines. March Madness, I usually take Michigan. I usually take Michigan State. Now, Michigan State, I do like them. I like the college team. I like Michigan State. They always seem to go so far. They play pretty good. Yeah, if you lay down with dogs, you get fleas. That's true. Nikola Jokic. That's funny. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the Saints. If you like the Saints, you like the Saints. And you come from a country of a joker. That's cool. Eh, I mean, it is what it is. We all have our likes and dislikes, whether it's fragrance, sports, or anything vehicles, motorcycles, whatever. It is what it is. So I think Wanted by Night is still fire. And some people might not appreciate it because it's probably been reformulated, but that happens. Why does that happen? Here's why. The International Fragrance Regulatory Association usually bans certain perfume notes, or sometimes certain notes with whatever makes this beautiful might not meet their standards no more. And then, boom, another reformulation. Or maybe they wanted to tweak it a bit, and sometimes that can either make the original composition worse, better. It just happens. You never know. But I still think Wanted by Night is absolutely stunning. So this will eventually be back in my rotation in the fall time. Wanted Tonic. Wanted Tonic is a nice fresh version. I never checked it out. Maybe I'll pick it up and see what it's about. How about this one? How about Boss Bottled Tonic? I've thought about looking at that. Any good? Bad? No? What's my opinion on dupes? Being a Browns fan isn't easy. No, unfortunately, I'm not a Browns fan, especially they allow sex offenders on a team. Yeah, I'm cool on the Browns. It's really cheap. Okay. What's my opinion on dupes? Well, there's pros and cons to dupes. Personally, my opinion on dupes, if you want the honest truth, I'll just put it out there. And I'm going to tell you like this. I think dupes is a good place to start with a collection. Let's just say 5 fragrances. And, eventually you could just buy decants of the real stuff down the road. I think some dupes are a great place, like a beginner's position for like a wardrobe. But at the same time, I would still purchase some decants, like 2 5 milliliter decants of the original stuff. That way you could do your own comparison between quality. And then you could really make a decision on replacing that down the road. Because let's just be honest. Let's just use the overplayed DNA, Creed Aventus, right? And let's say you never really smelled the original Creed Aventus and you're just listening to another YouTuber. And then you buy Club Ennui Intense Man or Afnan Supremacy Silver, and the list goes on, yada, yada, yada. I would still buy a 2 milliliter of Creed Aventus, Creed Cologne, so you can see the difference and know whether the dupe is what you want to invest in or is it the real one? And that's the best way I can put my personal opinion on dupes. Do I own dupes? Yes. Um, to be honest, Rayhan, Obsidian. I'm impressed with that one. It kind of makes me think of the old Dior Homme Parfum, maybe like that 2014 one, and a little of DHP 2025. Then you got Rayhan Aquatica. That one impressed me because of Virgin Island water. But, to me, with the Rayhan Aquatica, it's about 5 hours on my skin. Moderate, it's okay, not bad. Then you have this one. And I bought this not long ago. One of the newest ones from Rayhan. And sad to say that they cloned Dior Homme Cologne, but I still bought it. Now, here's the funny thing. This one does not last very long on skin at all, at least for me. I would take the original Dior Homme Cologne over this any day. So I'm not, I like the smell. I do like it. You get that Dior Homme Cologne DNA in the air. On skin, it's a little different. More of a twist, in my personal opinion. I still like it, but this one is only about 4 hours, 5 hours max on skin. And that's about it. And another dupe. Let's go with this one. These are probably my top 2 favorite from the Versace line. Is right here. And I've put a huge dent in this. And it's starting to get down there. Huas Verde. And this one here, so good. Now, I've done a full video on this. You can go through my list, find my videos. This right here is my spring and summer weapon. Spring and summer weapon. And this is perfect for this extreme heat wave that I'm going to be having this week. And I'm probably going to pull this out for my scent of the day tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to leave this one out because I'm going to rock this. I really like this one. You know, this is what comes to my mind with this one. Kind of like around the lane of Torino 21, but not really. And kind of like Aromatics, what is that? Plantain Blanc, but not really. It's so good. And it's one of my favorite flankers for the Huas line. Then I got this one not too long ago. This is my second favorite currently over Huas Ice. I know. It's hard to say that, but this one is number 2 for my Huas line. It's my number 2, second favorite. Huas Ice is number third favorite. But this is a good one, Huas Highness. Unfortunately, I can't get it to focus, but this is my second favorite. And it performs very well for me, too. So, that's how I feel about dupes. Honestly, Huas Highness, I get more vibrato and less Tigar on skin. I like vibrato. I like the original. And far as Brut goes, I cannot get into that. I do not like that. That's not me. Ugh, man. And I hope I don't offend anybody saying this. Brut is something about that. That Brut cologne or aftershave is not me. I cannot get into that. To me, it makes me think of walking into a funeral parlor, sad day, black dress shirt, black suit, all that, depressedness all around. I don't like Brut. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like it. Jacquard Noir, on the other hand, that's way better than Brut. Hell, Old Spice is better than Brut. And if I want to really go old school classic and really pull out some stuff, I would take this over Brut any fucking day. And I hope nobody gets offended, too. I would take this over Brut any day. English leather. Talking about pure masculinity in a bottle. Now, here's the funny thing. As you can see, the level of this splash bottle. I've had this since I was 13, and it never got old. Never spoiled, but it got a little stronger. And man, is this a good one. My dad got me in the old English leather growing up, 13 years old. And like he always said to him, and I'm going to repeat his words, when you want to smell like a man, you got to wear a fragrance that has balls. So he always said, English leather, the original polo, and what was another one? Some stuff from Caswell Massey, like Greenbrier by Caswell Massey. Kind of like Creed, Green Irish Tweed, but a little different. Yeah, I can't get in the brute. That's I would rather smell dead roses from a funeral parlor than smelling root. Ugh, man, just hearing that, it's like making my stomach turn. I can't get into that. Ask me what? Love what? English leather? Yeah, I absolutely love that one. Oh, yeah. Deep Ocean Amber? Yes. If I can give a rating 15 out of 15, I would say Deep Ocean Amber. Yeah, I just, it's funny we're on this subject with Brute because shout out to Essential Obsessions. He's got his own version of the 1960s dupe of Brute called, I think, Midnight Brawler. I sprayed it in the air. I definitely got Brute, but in the dry down with his version, the dry down was really good. Oh, so you're familiar with Greenbrier? Yeah, Caswell Massey. I got into Caswell Massey when I was younger. The Galleria in Cleveland, Ohio, they had a store, Caswell Massey. I still have all the old Caswell Massey magazines. I never threw them out. And my favorite one though was like Newport, Jockey Club, Greenbrier. I had the Lime Clone. I had Sandalwood. I had, I think, Verbena. I didn't care for Tricorn or Number Six. I didn't care for those two. But my all time favorite one by Caswell Massey was Aura of Patchouli. That was the best. And I wish they would have kept those ones. And I know they, reformulated over the years and got, you know, a little pricey. One of these days, I'm going to order a little 7.5 milliliter of like the EDP versions of Jockey Club to see how they are. So, English leather is too masculine. Well, it's masculine, all right, but I feel like, English leather could be a little more, let's say, old money, a little grown up. Not for teenagers, but definitely, maybe upper 20s and up. I really can't see a teenager rocking that unless, you're into that kind of stuff. It might be challenging considering what most people go for these days. You enjoy a Newport after about 2 bush 32 ounces. That's just about the only cig you can buy loose. Well, I was talking about Newport by Caswell Massey. It's a really nice fragrance. It's really gives you that essence of like an ocean, aquatic, and all that stuff. LV, wasn't it? Just picked up Coach for Men EDP. No, I haven't tried it. I haven't really explored anything from Coach. I don't know. They're just not on my radar, unfortunately. All right. I think I have maybe one, two, three, four, five more fragrances here. And then I'm going to do my live first impressions, because I do have a beautiful fragrance I'm going to talk about here. That's off to the side. Thanks to Joel. So let's get on to another one here. Let's go with this one from, actually, I think I got 6, 7 more. So we're almost done with these. Let's go with Mancera. And talking about refreshing tea notes and kind of almost, I wouldn't say sun-drenched, but something like that, you know, slightly there, but Melody of the Sun. I feel like this one doesn't get enough love. Nobody really appreciates it. I don't see too many people talking about this one anymore. And I've had this one for quite a bit. It's still kind of a full bottle. Here's the funny thing with this, okay? On my skin alone, 2 sprays, 3 sprays is the most I can wear. After that, it kind of gets a little cloying for me. I don't know why. But this is a good one. Sadly, nobody really talks about it anymore. But I like the tea in here. This is great for a heat wave. And I could kind of see where it could be cloying, because I think there might be a little bit of too much citrus, and might be some florals in here. Either way, beautiful fragrance all around. And this is great for high heat. This is probably something I'm going to be wearing on Wednesday. I got to get that back in the rotation. So, yes, Vetiver Sensuelle will always be for you. I own that one. But I haven't really been in the mood for it lately. Nothing against it, but yeah, Vetiver Sensuelle is probably one of the best fresh vetivers on the market. Money can buy, hands down. I will agree to that. But Melody of the Sun. Yes, Cedrat Boise is nice. Unfortunately, I recently sold Cedrat Boise. Oh, because of me. And you bought it based off my recommendation? That's funny. Well, hmm, you don't want to know what's funny though? I recently did get rid of four Manceras that had to go because I just don't wear them. But here's why. Okay, I got rid of Cedrat Boise because I just never really reached for it as much. I reach the intense version more because it's something I gravitate towards more. So I got rid of Cedrat Boise. I got rid of French Riviera. I got rid of Instant Crush. And I got rid of Royal Vanilla and Mancera Purple Flowers. I finally got rid of them. Why? Because I don't really reach for them anymore. And why is that? Because I reach for Intense French Riviera, Intense Cedrat Boise. I reach for Intense Instant Crush. And I have other ones that I wear a lot more. So, nothing against the original French Riviera or Cedrat Boise or Instant Crush or Royal Vanilla. They're just not for me, and they were taking up space. They were sitting there. I wasn't really wearing them, and I got rid of them finally. And I needed a little bit of extra income too that I made off of them. Because now I can add some other Manceras that I really do want. What is the one? Uh, I wanna get Ombre Tonka. I wanna get Wood Season when it's available, and I wanna get that Soleil d'Olay, however you pronounce that one, and Mancera Wild Fruit. I would like to get that one too. So there's another one. And, the other one I would like to get is Mancera Pink Prestigium or Kumquat Wood. I thought about Kumquat Wood too. So, sweeter side. Tonka Cola is okay. Cherry is another note, you know. I smelled Tonka Cola. It's okay. I'm just not crazy for that one. And, like cherry, because there's cherry in it and cola. It's okay. I'm not against it or anything. I'm just not motivated to really pull the trigger on that one. I like ombre tonka more. What I like about ombre tonka is the way the Thai oud is. It almost has this like mapled nuance, kind of leather kind of scent. And the pistachio there isn't really, pistachio, more of a nutty side of pistachio. Beautiful fragrance. Ombre Tonka, I think, is really nice and mass appealing. I want to add that one eventually too. But yeah, Intense French Riviera, I tend to you know, pull pull the trigger and wear a lot more. And since I've owned Intense French Riviera, I'm starting to get a debt in that one. It's starting to go down. So that's a good one. And speaking of sweet, far as let's see. Speaking of sweet, far as Manceras go, explicit vanilla. That's definitely one of my favorites too. And here's another one that doesn't really get talked about enough. And this is another Mancera. And this is such a beautiful fragrance. Now, if you like stuff that is kind of, I don't know, powdery, almost like that classic lipstick powderiness with some spices and some citrus up top with beast mode longevity, but it might be very situational for you. But this is something I like to wear in the fall, spring, and winter. And I am talking about Mancera Black Prestigium. I find this to be highly underrated. Nobody talks about it anymore. And this was one of my first Manceras. So good. Think of Dior Homme Parfum meets Black Prestigium by Mancera, and it went up another notch, and out comes you have a crazy performing DHP. And you throw some oud in there and some spices and citrus. Yeah, this one is powdery for sure. You know, I could compare it to, let's say, DHP, just minus the spices, the oud, and all that. But this is really interesting. Coming from Pierre Montel for the Mancera line, you got violet, iris, you got oud up in there, you got some spices, and you got some citrus. Where it really shines is in the dry down. Now, this one is quite powdery. The powderiness stays for maybe, I would say, a good, you know what? I'm going to spray it on skin. It's been a minute since I've worn this. And I love this one. And it's such a good one. But you really get that oud in the opening with the spices, but you're also getting that powderiness, but it does settle down. I'd say maybe after, it might be different for you, but on my skin, I would say after probably a good 5 to maybe 10 minutes, that powderiness goes down and it does get better. And where it really shines is in the dry down. Now, this one is very situational, but I find this one to be the most artistic from Pierre Montel. And it's one of my favorites. My brother does not like that one. He smelled it. He walked away. He's like, I can't get into that. That's too grown up for me. But it's good. It's beautiful. It's a really done fragrance. And far as longevity with this one, um, I get over 10 hours on skin. But this isn't for everybody. This is for people who truly appreciate a fragrance like this. I would consider this Mancera one probably at like a frag enthusiast level, if that makes sense. But man, does it smell so damn good. I really, really like that one. And that's why I kept, still keep it. Yes, Winwood is under radar too. Last. Melody of the Sun on My Skin. Yeah, usually Mancera has strong perfumes, a lot of them. Melody on the Skin for me, you know, I would say probably at the most 6 to maybe 7.5 hours, depending on the season. It's not bad. You might get a little more longevity than but I get about 7.5 hours on skin. Keep in mind, skin chemistry, we all have different skin. We all have different pores. Your body oils, could react to a fragrance differently than me. You might luck out and get 8 hours. Somebody else with Melody of the Sun might get 4 hours, while somebody else might get 7.5, 8, or surprisingly 9 hours. It just happens. So that one's done. That one's done. Let's see what's next here. What is next? I got a few more to talk about. Well, let's see here. I wish one of my other hey, what's up, Kara? How's it going? So, here we got another one from Victoria's Secrets. And I know one of my subscribers, I was hoping he would be here. Maybe he is, and he's silently watching, but his favorite go-to is very very sexy platinum for men. And he likes it because it's, kind of like Abercrombie Fierce, but smells better. So, how many of you guys got your nose on this? It's been a while. Would you agree, disagree, whether it's worth having in a rotation or something you would shelf on your display or, you know, upgrade and get something else? And this was a gift to me. My brother bought this for me a few years ago for Christmas. I still like it, even though the atomizer is kind of shit. I still like it, but yeah, it kind of reminds me of Fierce by Abercrombie and Fitch, but you know, moderate performing. I wouldn't say beast mode. I find it to be slightly appealing, pretty good. Not bad. Have any of you guys ever checked it out? Ever bought it? Or would you buy it? Or would you save your money for something else that really has your attention? Either way, I can appreciate this one. I've had it for a while, but I tend to reach for something else by Victoria's Secrets for Men. They're aquatic. I think it's called Deep Water. It's pretty good. I want to get that one back in the rotation. Whew. Man, this one, no, this is not YSL. This is Victoria's Secret's Very Sexy Platinum for Men. And the way the violet pushes some of the notes, it kind of does remind me of Fierce by Abercrombie and Fitch. It's pretty good. Not bad. But man, I still get that powderiness with Black Prestigium. But it's really starting to open up with those spices. But man, is that such a beautiful one. So let's go to a budget-friendly budget cologne. Now, I'm certain you guys are familiar with this one, and it's been around for a while. And I think this is also from, uh, let's say, Fragrance World, I think. And Moonlight. We got Moonlight Night, the one and only. How many of you guys are familiar with this one? And I think they did a fantastic job on this. I find this one to be under the radar. Not many people are talking about this one anymore. It happens. I've worn it a couple times last year, and I gotta say, I never smelled the original because it's so highly expensive to hunt down the original. So tell me if any of you guys are familiar with this one. Is it close to the real DNA? And if it is, then I guess I got a pretty good fragrance here. I enjoy this one. It's pretty good. And I tend to wear this during the fall, during the winter. It's pretty good. And it definitely kind of has that, like DNA from the one line. Either way, this is beautiful. And this is another great fragrance to have on hand in the winter, fall time. So this one definitely stays on my SP tier list. And let's go to a designer. And I'm curious to see what you guys will say about this. Now, this is the reformulated version of Versace, the Dreamer. Kind of got a metallic tone with this one. I like the dry down in this. I absolutely like this one. Not many people talk about this one anymore. I think some people will say, it's too old man, grown up, old money, or more for like an older man in their late 50s and up. But man, this one's really, really nice. And I feel like, the metallicness shows up maybe in the heart notes. But something about it, I really appreciate this one. And it's super cheap and easy to find. I think there's tobacco in this one, maybe some vanilla. I don't know. It's been a minute. I'm not too familiar with all the notes, but I know in this one it has a metallicness to it. I like this. I like Dreamer. I've had this one for a while. I want to get a backup of it. I like this stuff. Something about it is just it's really, really good coming from Versace. That is another one that will always stay. So, Another stream tell me that he is spraying it on bed before sleeping. Really? Huh. I like Versace Dreamer. I think some people consider it like an older guy in their like upper late 40s and 50s, but I love it. I love it. And I need I need to add a backup, but I'm gonna get this one back into my rotation too. Such a stunning scent. But you have a Dreamer tester. It's dated for me. Someone on another stream tell me that he is spraying it on bed before sleeping. Huh. Okay. I'm gonna have to try that, and I'll let you know what I think about it. That's different. And I wonder if it relaxes him. Maybe that's why. So there's another one. And I think I have maybe, let's see, one, two, I think, yeah, I think, yeah, two more. So I pretty much talked about that. I talked about that. Did those. So I have two more. And I have another polo here. I got Dreamer Test 100 milliliter for, hey, nice. Yeah, that's very, very cheap. So I have another one here from Polo. And I know this one got discontinued. And let's see what people think about this one here. And I'm talking about Polo Deep Blue Parfum. Fresh, aquatic, easy to wear, even though it's got like a synthetic green mango in here. Very fresh. I find this one happens to fly under the radar and no one really gave it a chance. Even though it's discontinued and you could probably still find it, still good. And this one, I feel like, deserves more attention. Now, I know people like Polo Blue Parfum, the EDP or the EDT. This is my favorite one out of them all. I like Deep Blue Parfum the most. I never really went for the original Polo Blue EDT or the Parfum. I like this one the best. And I need to get this one back in the rotation as well. I've had it for a while. This is still a pretty decent one. You won't expect much for far as longevity if you're into longevity and if performance matters to you, but maybe, 5, 7 hours, depending on skin and how your skin reacts to fragrance. That one will always stay in my SP tier list. Now, the one, I think there is some others that might be on maybe an A tier list for me, which would probably be Boss Bottled United because I get the less, doesn't really perform much for me, maybe 4 hours. Doesn't mean I hate it. No. And I think Lemon Dolce by Happy Chapard would be on the A tier. And here's the last one. Yeah, Polo Green is absolutely beautiful. You like Ultra Blue and Deep Blue. Cool. I never checked out Ultra Blue, but I have the Deep Blue and I really enjoy that. So here's another one, and this is for the ladies, but simply, even though I'm a guy, I wear this from time to time, and this is from Imperial Armani for the Stronger With You line for women. And this is the only one I currently own. Eventually, I want to add Power of You because I really like how that one smelled on skin. So here we got In Love With You Freeze. What I like about it is I'm a sucker for the bottle too. I like frosted bottles for some reason, but it's the scent. Peach, rose, florals, kind of bright. And it's really, really good for the summertime. This is something I'd like to wear for high heat. And it's such a good one. But I think this would probably go on A tier for me. And this is another one I find to be underrated and it doesn't get enough love and appreciation. And it's beautiful. Oh, nice. Right on. And last but not least, before I end my live stream, we're going to get into the fun stuff here. So I will do a live comparison with Ahmed Al Maghribi, Azure Royal, and Blue Talisman. And I will be talking about one of my latest pickups from another fragrance house that is based out in Spain. And I was lucky to even find this. So I've been saving this last bit for the grand finale, but I will be back in a minute. I got to use the restroom because I am very hydrated. So I'll be back. Oh, man. I got to stop drinking so much water. Man, I drink way too much water all the time. But that's a good thing because I like to be hydrated. 2+ hours? I think so. Well, anyways, I'm back. But let's get on to the fun stuff since you guys all been patiently waiting. So here we got Azure Royal. And I have my little sample here of Blue Talisman. So I won this from a free giveaway off Instagram not too long ago from some online discounter. I participated and I got lucky. They picked my name and they sent this my way. And for the last couple of days, I've been doing shorts on this and I'm actually quite impressed with this one. And I'm going to spray this one on this arm, probably right about right up here. We'll go 3 sprays. We'll let it marinate. Let it settle down. And here's my little sample. And we're going to spray this probably on other inside arm here. Maybe we'll go. There we go. Kind of a little alcohol-y. You could smell the alcohol on this one here. Let it settle down a little. You really get that pear. Very nice quality. It's still pretty good now. See, there's the difference with Blue Talisman. It's the quality. Well, here's what I like more about Azure Royal. I find it to be juicier, a little more fruity, a little more pleasant. Don't get me wrong, Blue Talisman is pretty good too. Better quality, in my opinion. However, for a dupe, I would say they're pretty, I wouldn't say 1 to 1. I wouldn't say 90. I would say maybe in the 70% close, just based on my reading on skin. Now, between the two, which one I would probably go for? I would probably take this over the original Blue Talisman because even with the sample of Blue Talisman, doesn't last as long. Nothing against it, but I just find this one a little more to my liking, probably because it's a little fruitier, it's a little fresher, a little brighter. The original Blue Talisman on me just feels, like clean, slightly bright, and I don't really get all the notes on my skin, but it's not bad, you know? Nothing against Blue Talisman. I prefer the Blue Talisman extrait more, but Blue Talisman, not bad, you know? Far as a comparison, you know, you definitely do see the difference between quality, but here, to me, Azure Royal, I would say more of a fruity, juicy fruit twist off the original DNA. And that's my opinion. So if you're on, the fence or you're looking for something that kind of gets you to the like Blue Talisman vibes, this is definitely worth having. I like this one. And it's the second one I currently own from Ahmed Al Maghribi. And here's the funny thing. Sometimes with like Lattafa or like some of the Mason Alhambras, you kind of get that like Middle Eastern smell. For some reason, with Ahmed Al Maghribi, I don't really pick up that like Middle Eastern perfume oils that they use. Yeah, this is more candied. And I do like it. However, the original Blue Talisman is decent too. Between the two, far as people who are on a budget, yeah, this is worth, checking out, getting a bottle, you know, especially if you don't want to spend a couple $100. This is definitely worth it. I like it, you know. I'm not, dissatisfied. This is good. It's good. I appreciate it. It's the second one from Ahmed Al Maghribi. I think it's pretty decent quality for how much it costs. So it's not bad. So the moment I've been waiting for, and this is the fun part, this would definitely be my second most favorite rose fragrance. And this one is some good stuff, especially coming from the House of Carner Barcelona. Now, I've spent previously some days with this one because I was giving it a few wearings, but I gotta tell you, this one here, we got Rose and Dragon. Rose and Dragon. by Carner, Barcelona. But I'm going to read this little thing on the box. And that's why I like this one so much. We want to make you feel part of the Catalan legend of St. George with Rose and Dragon, a dark and fascinating perfume. And it definitely lives up to that. This is very dark. And it says here on the back, it says, the destiny wanted the princess to be devoured by the ferocious dragon, but a courageous St. George appeared to save her and fought against his flames, stabbed him with his sword, and from his blood a rose bush with dark roses began to bloom. So this is a beautiful fragrance. Such a good one. Now, this one here was gifted to me. I didn't buy it. I got it gifted by another relative. And he's been, I have a couple cousins. And one cousin in particular sometimes gifts me stuff over time. And if it's something he likes, he usually gifts me for me to check it out. So I got this bad boy, Rose and Dragon. And let me tell you, I like Rose. Now, with this one here, and I'm going to spray this on skin. And I'm going to avoid, we're going to go let's go in the inner arm. What I like about this one here is the intense spices and saffron you get. Man, is that good. But here's the other thing, okay? What you get is this really beautiful cumin, cinnamon, spices. You get this wild strawberry accord, and you got saffron. But underneath there, lingering in the background, you get rose, manuka honey, and I think you got Turkish rose as well, and frankincense. And they're just lingering in the background, right? So what I'm getting here right now, just the top notes, is this I want to say Persian saffron. You got wild strawberry. You do get cumin and some spices, but within a minute or two, those spices actually settle down. And I still get, on my skin, the top notes stay for a good 15, 20 minutes on my skin. I'm lucky. But this is a beautiful fragrance. And the dry down is like immaculate. You got castoreum in there, so you got a little bit of funk. But then I feel like with that, what is it, that labdanum, and I think that the leather is kind of subtle to me, and you got amber and labdanum, kind of tones down the castoreum. Overall, it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm happy I have this for my wardrobe because this took number 2 in my top 5 rose fragrances. So this is number 2. And I've had this for about a week, and I've spent a good solid 3 days with it. I'm impressed. And there's a few others by Carner Barcelona I'd like to check out. Yes. Yes, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely different, but great for sure. Yeah, in the opening here, what I'm getting, I get the strawberry, but I also kind of get that saffron a little more, and I get the spices, but the immense opening you get blasted with cumin and spices and all of that, then it settles down and gets really nice. And I really do get that strawberry once it settles a little down more. But right now, I get strawberry. I'm getting that saffron and slightly spices, and it stays for a good, I think a solid, for me, 15 minutes, which is pretty impressive for top notes. So they I find they probably use good perfume oil. And then also with Bulgarian and Turkish rose, it's kind of lingering in the background. The heart notes are kind of like, watching you from the shadows as you're transitioning. So, what comes to my mind with this fragrance? Yeah, skin chemistry is really a thing because if you wanted to know, which I'm sure you know, the top notes are on the back of the box, which is always sometimes a plus too. So, top notes, you got Persian saffron, cumin essence, wild strawberry. You get cinnamon leaves, which I get the strawberry, I get some of the cinnamon and cumin, but I get more of the strawberry and saffron the most. But I slightly do pick up the spices in the top notes, but I think that's why they stay a while. Because, like I said, I'm around maybe 10. I want to say maybe between 10 to maybe 15 minutes. Those top notes actually stay a bit because there's no citrus here. But man, it's just so good. And then the heart, you do got your Bulgarian rose, Turkish rose, absolute, Manuka honey, Ethiopian frankincense, and then the base. You got castoreum, leather accord. I forget what. Let's see, and Andalusian labdanum resin and amber. But yeah, I definitely get the cumin, cinnamon leaves, the strawberry, and saffron. In the opening, it's very intense, but it settles down within a minute, and that shit just sits there before even the heart notes start to show up. All I really do pick up in the background at the moment is like the Bulgarian rose and Turkish rose that are, kind of lingering in the background, but I'm still picking up the top notes as well. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, based off first impressions, I would give this a solid, 9.0 out of 10 for a rose fragrance. Yeah, sampling is always good. You could try, you know. Yeah, you can't always judge just by the notes, but, you know, it's funny for me on my skin. I get the top. I get that strawberry, I get the cumin, cinnamon leaves, and I get that saffron. Yeah, yeah, sampling is the best way and missed on because of yeah. I could have sampled this, but since it was gifted my way, I can't complain. But I really do enjoy this. And far as performance for me, after, once the hearts it opens up, you get to the base, I get a good 8 hours on skin and I'm happy with that. And far as being a rose fragrance, this would be number two. This would be number two in my top 5 favorite rose fragrances. It's just that really good. So there's some others I would like to explore from Caron, Barcelona. I would like to check out Supermoon. Um, there was another one. I can't think of the names off my head. Figman, that's another one I would like to check out. But there's a couple other ones that are a little darker, and I would like to check them out sometime. But this was a great pickup, so I'm happy I got this. I was actually the first day when I got my nose on it, I'm like, wow, okay, this is something I can get into. And that's what I like about this one. I find this one to be interesting. And I like castoreum in fragrance. I find castoreum to be a nice note. And it is kind of like, animalic for sure. But I love castoreum. And I do like cumin in certain fragrances, long as they're done right. And it's done right here. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, semi niche fragrance. I agree with that, Joel. I absolutely agree. They're not that expensive at all. In fact, I thought about adding, you know, I thought about I might just wait on Deep Ocean Amber and do that in the fall time. But I thought about picking up Supermoon and maybe um, another Carner fragrance. That way I can get a couple, 2 for 1. Because I seen a bunch on Fragflex that are actually at a good price. So I might just, pull the trigger and get a couple more, get Supermoon, and maybe add another Xerjoff. I haven't made up my mind yet, so I'm still debating, but Supermoon is definitely another one I would like to add. I hear it's pretty good. I heard Figman is pretty good too. Yeah, I'd like to check that one out. So right now, I'm still getting the top. I'm still getting that strawberry, some of the saffron and spices, but now I get that rose, Turkish rose and Bulgarian rose. But what makes the heart note really interesting and enjoyable is that Manuka honey and frankincense. That's why I like this one. It's basically kind of like a floral, slight smoked rose fragrance with some, castoreum. I like this stuff. So I'm still going to give this some solid full wears before I get a full review out. But yeah, this was a great gift to have. And if you guys out there love floral and you love rose, this is worth trying to sample. It's definitely takes you on a journey for sure. That was definitely worth it. So, and I think that's about it. It's about after 9. Again, it's been a 2-hour live session. Next week, I'm probably gonna I got some other fragrances sitting on my bookshelf case back there. I'm probably gonna next week do a live first impressions on my very first Sphinx fragrance. I got a Sphinx fragrance. I decided to buy a full bottle. I had a sample of one, and I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I got my very first Sphinx bottle, and I got a good deal on it too. So I'll probably save that for next week Sunday. Do a live first impressions with Sphinx fragrances and go from there. So I got also some other stuff on the way as well. And I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 10 other fragrances to really talk about. So July is gonna be a busy month. So I got about 10, about 10 more. So I have probably, let's see, 1 there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, 10. So July will be a fun month. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out on my live stream tonight. I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday night. God bless, stay safe, and remember, smell your best, because this message is SP approved. Oop, come on. There we go. Peace, y'all.